Welcome to another video dealing with chemical reactions. In this video, we are going to practice balancing a few chemical equations. As we work through these questions, remember one thing that's going to help you a lot with them is your balancing chart. The first column of the chart contains the element of this equation. The second column of your chart includes your subscript multiplied by your coefficient. And finally, the third column is the total amount of each element on each side. So let's start things off with methane plus oxygen gives us carbon dioxide and water. In other words, CH4 plus O2 yields CO2 and H2O. My first step is going to be fill out my element columns on both the reactant and product side. I start with my metal carbon. Carbon on my reactant side has no subscript, so it is an understood 1. As of right now, it also has no coefficient, so there is also an understood 1 there. This gives me a grand total of 1 carbon on my reactant side. Now I'll move on to my carbon on the product side. Once again, there is no subscript or coefficients, so there is an understood 1 times 1 in my second column, and that will give me a total of 1. So far so good, my carbons are all equal to each other. Hydrogen is the next atom on my list. On the reactant side, I have a subscript 4 and a coefficient of 1. That gives me a total of 4 on this side. Hydrogen is only found in water on the product side and has a subscript 2. There's a coefficient of 1, leaving us with a total of 2 hydrogens on the product side. We notice this does not equal our reactant side, so we're going to have to make some changes later. Now our last element that we're going to have to account for is oxygen. On the reactant side, oxygen has a subscript 2 and a coefficient of 1, giving us a total of 2 oxygen. On our product side, we have 2 sources of oxygens we are going to have to account for. Because of this, I feel that it's easier to make multiple rows to account for each source of oxygen. So, my first row will account for the oxygen in the carbon dioxide. This oxygen has a subscript of 2 and a coefficient of 1, giving us a total of 2 oxygen from this source. Next, I'm going to account for the oxygen in my water molecule. There's no subscript or coefficient here, so it gives us a total of 1 oxygen atom in this molecule. I add together all my oxygen atoms and I get 3 total oxygen atoms on my product side, which is different than my 2 on my reactant side. Now I can look at my total products and reactants, and anything that does not equal, I will have to put a mark beside until I balance it. The first thing I want to balance out is my hydrogen. I notice that I have 4 on my reactant side and 2 on my product side. I also notice that there is 1 source of hydrogen on my product side in the form of water. So in order to get my hydrogens to equal, I'm going to have to add a 2 as a coefficient in front of my water molecule on the product side. This gives me a total of 4 hydrogens on both sides. This 2 also changes the amount of total oxygens in my product side. If I replace the coefficient I originally had for my water with a 2, I will then have a total of 4 oxygen molecules on my product side. This is still not fully balanced with 2 oxygens on the reactant side and 4 on the product side. Fortunately, there is only 1 source of oxygen on my reactant side. In order to get the total oxygen atoms to equal 4 on the reactant side, I'm going to have to add a coefficient of 2 in front of my oxygen, giving me a total of 4. Now that I have the same totals on both sides for each element, I can say that this equation is balanced. So the balance equation would be CH4 plus 2O2 yields CO2 plus 2H2O. Thank you for watching this all the way to the end. Don't forget to hit that like or subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're one of my students or just want to watch related videos to this topic, click the playlist button on the right side of this screen. If you're just wanting to keep up with this channel, my latest video is going to be posted to the left of the screen. Once again, hey, thank you for supporting this channel, thank you for supporting me, and good luck this year in your classroom.